Hello and welcome everyone. In today's video, I will run through the installation of VMware ESXi 6 in my home lab environment. So let's take a quick look at the requirements first. So first of all, you need to make sure that you're installing ESXi on a supported server platform. To verify that, go to the hardware compatibility list. This is the URL here, and verify that your server is supported there. With regards to CPU, ESXi requires a host machine with at least 2 CPU cores and a 64-bit x86 processor. It also requires the NX and the XT bit to be enabled for the CPU in the BIOS. So basically both are the same things. NX stands for never execute and XT stands for the execute disabled. So just a brief intro about those. The NX and or the XT bit, what these does is basically they enable the ability to mark certain areas of the memory as non-executable with a flag. So when this happens, the processor will then refuse to execute any code that resides in those areas of memory. And if any attempt is made to execute a code that is from a page that is marked as no execute, it will result in a memory access violation. So this basically provides a added layer of security. Further, to support 64-bit virtual machines, hardware virtualization must be enabled on the x64 CPUs. With regards to memory, ESXi requires a minimum of 4 GB of RAM, but it is recommended to have at least 8 GB. For network connectivity, 1 or more gigabit or the 10 GB Ethernet cards are required. With regards to storage, ESXi 6 hypervisor requires a boot device that is a minimum of 1 GB in size. But if you're booting from a local or a SAN disk, a 5.2 GB disk is required. This allows the creation of a VMFS volume and a 4 GB scratch partition on the boot device. Generally, I would say that I would recommend to have a 10 GB of boot LUN, and you can read more about these in this document. Also, VMware has provided few recommendations for enhanced ESXi performance, so go through that at your time in your leisure. Let's jump onto the lab and install ESXi. Alright, so this is my home lab test environment. I'm going to create a VM because this is the nested environment I have where I'll be installing ESXi 6. For those of you who are installing it on your server platform directly on the bare metal server, you do not need to do this step. Basically, you will go into your KVM console and mount the media and install ESXi 6 from there. So let me just quickly create a virtual machine here. Let's call it ESXi 601. I'm going to be installing it on cluster 1 and NFS data store as a storage of choice and compatible with ESXi 6. So over here for the guest OS, select other and then again select other 64-bit and give it a OS name. So this is the important part here where you have to select the virtual hardware. As I've shown you the hardware requirements for ESXi 6. So basically I need to have 2 vCPUs assigned, and I'll enable the hot add feature here just in case. And also this is where expose the NX and XT bit flag. So this is already set here for enable the hardware virtualization to support 64-bit OS. So this is done. So that's for CPU part, and I'll assign it 8 gigs of RAM and 10 gigs of hard drive. So that's all in here for now. All right, so let's deploy the VM. So the VM is being created. I'm going to pause here and come back when after I mount the media to the VM, and we'll install ESXi. All right, so I have mounted the media and I'm booting from the image. The installer is loading up, and to begin the installation of ESXi 6. So press 11 to accept the end user license agreement and continue. All right, so it's scanned for the device, the boot device, and it has found the 10 gig virtual disk that is assigned over here. If I would have been installing it on actually a server platform, I would have seen a local disk, or if it is being boot from a SAN device, it would have been a device ID being listed here. But I see here a virtual disk because it is installed in a nested environment. So I'm going to press enter to continue, and just going to accept the default values here. So the installation will take a few minutes. I think I'll just pause here and come back once it is 100% done. All right, so the installation completed, and it's asking to remove the media and reboot the host. So I'm going to pause here. I'm going to remove the media, reboot the host, and I'll be back once the host is up. All right, so the host is booting up. It's loading the ESXi. It's loading up different modules and starting up the services. All right, so the install is successful, and let's configure the IP address and the host name for this ESXi host. So press F2 to log in there, and it's asking for the password. This is where you can configure the VLAN. Press enter and you can specify a VLAN ID. I don't have in my test environment. This is a home lab, so I don't have any VLAN specified. So use a static IP address, and I'm going to disable the IPv6. And as you can see, it's going to require a restart. So I'm setting up the DNS server here, and the host ESXi 6-01. I can do the DNS fix here, or from the vCenter we can do that too. So let's do for this host through the console. So it's mytestlab.net. Alright, so I'm going to exit, and as I said, it would ask me to do the reboot of the host again, so I'm going to do that. So basically this completes, after this reboot, the IP address, the host name, and the DNS fix is configured, and the IPv6 has been disabled. Alright, so the reboot is complete, and the IP address and the hostname has been assigned. So this concludes the video for today. Hope you have enjoyed it. Thanks. See you again.